Hello everyone, my name's Beansprout, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. And for those of you who are in my Discord, you already saw this coming. But for those of you who aren't in my Discord, I basically semi-announced that I'm going to be moving away from more gameplay-focused content and covering lore a bit more in video games. And of course, yes, I'm going to be covering Doom still. Doom is currently my favorite game, and I absolutely love that game to death. And I'm wanting to start reading the codexes more and cover some lore surrounding Doom, but just so I can get into the groove of talking about lore, I'm going to be doing a video on Halo, which is a franchise that is very special to me, but I know a lot of you aren't really the biggest Halo fans, and that is why I'm going to be covering Flood lore to begin with, because I feel like that would vibe the best with my audience. But basically, today's video we're going to be talking about Faber, the Master Builder, and his descent into madness and the horrible experiments that he conducted on the prehistoric humans. So first off, Faber is, well, the Master Builder, and the one who made the Halo array from the original trilogy, but also had a lot to do with the much larger Halo array named the Senesin array. But this array of Halo rings was extremely controversial in the Forerunner society, with the Prometheans being led by the Didact, yes, the Didact from Halo 4, being in very strong opposition to these rings. And most of them, or if not all of them, were executed or banished, with this whole dilemma being mostly controlled by Faber. But after years of tests, the Forerunners had concluded that these larger Halo rings were inefficient and unstable for actual use. So after a lot of debating, in 98,445 BC, Faber was convinced to make a newer, much smaller, yet stronger array of Halo rings, of which there were 6. Though Faber did keep the construction and the location of these rings completely secret from the rest of the Forerunners. And this is the beginning of his descent into madness. But if you look closely in Halo 2, there's actually 7 rings. So where does the 7th ring come into this? Well, the 7th ring is actually one of the most important locations in the Halo universe, being that it does have a very strong connection to the Flood, Primordial, and is also where Halo Infinite is going to be set. And Zeta, in fact, was never part of the Neoteric array, with the Neoteric array being the smaller Halo array. It was in fact part of the Senescent array, but was shrunk down to Neoteric size later on in the Forerunner Flood War, and was also one of the main housing locations for prehistoric humans, which was a decision made by the Lifeworkers and the Librarian. And while these humans were not very smart, they did start building their own cities and even a system of society. However, their future was not very bright, because about 10,000 years later, the Flood had just begun its long-awaited comeback by consuming the entire distant colony of Seaboard at an alarming rate. But with the extreme power Faber held and the rapid infection of smaller colony worlds, it began to wear away at his mental health, causing him to start these vile experiments on the humans living on Zeta Halo in a desperate attempt to find a cure for the Flood infection, effectively torturing these humans because it was shown that the Flood couldn't care less about infecting humans and more about infecting the Forerunners. Though this theory was completely false, and it was more because the Flood have their own personal vendetta against the Forerunners. But over time, the humans began to name these places they were being brought to the Palace of Pain, and note these were multiple locations, and it's just the humans didn't know it was more than one location they were being brought to. More often than not, these tests would result horribly, with reports of victims coming away either horribly distorted or even dead. But that's about all for today, so if you enjoyed the video, then give it a like, and if you really enjoyed the video, then consider subscribing. I'm wanting to start covering more stuff revolving around Halo, and yes, I'm still going to be making Doom content as much as I can, but there's not really been much news coming about Doom recently, so only time will tell what I do next. But anyway, thanks for watching, have a nice day.